Welcome to another episode of Conscious Leaders. And today I'm joined by Veronica Morris, founder of Healing Alternatives. Nika, so nice to have you.
Thank you, Gret.
Okay, so let's start with your story, how you got to where you are today.
So a little bit about myself, my background. I am a mixture of nationalities. So my mum is Spanish from Barcelona, and my dad was half French, half English. So I lived in France and in England and was educated in the UK. And I went to Exeter University. And when I left Exeter, I went to work for big corporate News International for the Sunday Times in their travel section. So I was there for 7 years. And then I went freelance and was working for Spanish Vogue as their UK correspondent and the Evening Standard and the Telegraph. And then after that, I got married in 2000. And my father, who had a perfume business which was growing, asked me to join the family business. And so that was my next foray into business.
I didn't realize your father was in the perfume industry. I know he has another part in your story, but what did he do in perfume?
So he actually started his own company at 57, having worked for the perfume business for many years before that. And he specialized in travel retail, so airlines, airports, ferries, all those kind of elements with lots of different brands that he brought on board.
Got it. So he was selling to not just perfume. So he worked in perfume, then he ended up switching.
Then he was distributing to all the airports, airlines, and ferries in the United Kingdom.
Okay. And that actually makes sense because you had somewhat of a travel background, and then you got pulled into his business. Exactly. Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
Really interesting.
So you were doing that. And then how did Healing Alternatives come about?
So what happened was after I got married to my husband Rupert in 2000, we decided we're based in London, and my husband was working in the city as an equity derivatives broker, and he'd done that for about 20 years. And he was getting very burnt out, and it was a very high pressure job. He was leading big teams, and he reached burnout in about 2011. And so he decided to leave the city, and both of us didn't have a plan. We were thinking, what do we do next? But we just know that that's not the way forward. So this opportunity came up to invest in a boutique hotel in Sri Lanka. And so we thought, why not? Let's go for it. So we moved to Sri Lanka, and we were there for a couple of years, and we still have interest in the hotel out there now. And my husband is currently working on another hotel, which is going to be ready by this September. And it's a surf hotel based in Mittagama, also on the southern, in southern Sri Lanka.
I mean, you basically were like living the dream. And we need to, we're organizing our first retreat, here in Portugal, but I'm feeling like maybe we need to get to Sri Lanka for one.
Yeah, definitely. We'd love to have you. I mean, it wasn't, sorry.
Yeah. Go ahead.
It wasn't all easy for me because I'd never lived outside Europe. So it was definitely moving out of my comfort zone going to Sri Lanka. My husband had lived for a decade in Asia, and he'd traveled extensively around Asia. So for him, it was more natural. But for me, it was definitely a baptism of fire. And although it was hard, it was really rewarding at the same time. And I have really fond memories of it.
Do you remember it taking was it a certain amount of time that you were like, oh God, I should like this, but
yes,
it doesn't feel right?
Yeah, definitely. The first 6 months, I was finding it really hard to acclimatize in so many different ways. But I'm really lucky. I was introduced to some really lovely friends who are now our friends and godparents to our daughter, who, through a friend of mine from university actually, and that was kind of the turning point for me, and just acclimatizing to the heat and the tropics and all that. So I'd say 6 months in, I suddenly felt like I was really integrating.
Yeah. I mean, I lived in Paris when I was 22, 23. I moved, and I remember moving there and thinking, I'm supposed to like this. And
Yes.
it was the same. It was 6 months. September 11th had also happened right when I moved there. So it was a big, like, but it was like, I'm supposed to like this, and I don't really like it. But then you do have to stick through it, because it does ultimately make you stronger. Like, I feel like my experience living abroad, I mean, I got so much, and because I was only 22, I was young enough that I was able to adapt, I guess, a little bit more quickly. So we digress a little bit.
No,
I do want to ask you one question though about Rupert and his burnout, because we work with a lot of leaders, obviously, and I went through my own burnout. How did he know he was going through burnout? And did he, you know, can you explain or describe any of his symptoms? Yes,
he was very tired. He also had glandular fever, he took a massive hit because of that. And that was kind of exhaustion levels where, you know, you're finding it hard to get out of bed, sort of exhaustion. And like all these things, they take a long time to sort of diagnose. And he just wasn't, you know, there was just no joy. Whereas when I first met him, he was just loving leading these, you know, teams and everything. And then by the stage of burnout, he wasn't happy. And he'd moved company from the first company he was working for, and he really wasn't happy with the way they were leading their company, and they didn't have the sort of integrity that he has. So I think there was a combination of things, but definitely exhaustion and just losing his way.
I completely can go right back to that place. I understand what he was going through. I might have to have a chat with him at some point.
Definitely.
Okay, so you managed to get yourself to Sri Lanka. You had the hotel. You worked through your just the challenges of moving to a foreign country. And it wasn't just any foreign country, it's, you know, across the ocean to another whole nother area, different culture. And so then what?
So then we decided to come back to England to try for a baby. And we were very lucky in that a year later, our daughter Isabella was born. And so she's now 8, and we decided to stay in the UK. Just because it was easier and we were near a family, really, for having a newborn. And Rupert had been actively investing in startups all the time that he left the city. And he wanted to invest in companies that have social impact. So either they are good for the planet or good for people in some way. And so he'd been looking in the cannabis and plant medicine space for quite a long time. And so in 2019, he decided to start Healing Alternatives with a partner called Andrew. And they decided to create wellness and beauty products, a small range of oils, you know, drops, and some bath products and some skin products. So that's when Healing Alternatives was born.
Why did he decide to do it on his own rather than investing in another
company? Because he didn't find anything. Well, he'd checked it out in the US. He'd been to the US and spoken to different companies and met different growers and people. And he felt that none of the products there were what he was exactly looking for. And so he wanted to have a bit more control over what products were made, and also was very keen to only produce things that are transformative and have value, you know, are good value. And so therefore that's why he wanted to create it with our excellent manufacturing partners who are based also in the UK. So that's the reason why he decided to start the business. And the trouble is that the business was started in November 2019, and then the pandemic hit shortly after, as we all know. And so Andrew, who was his business partner, had to leave the business because he had an existing business in South Africa. And so he had to save his business and 20 employees that he had out there. So for a while there, we thought, what do we do? Do we carry on with Healing Alternatives, or shall we close it down? And for both of us, it was definitely, time to think about it properly. And we had realized that we just started to gain a whole load of clients and customers who were really benefiting from our products, and no one more so than my dad, who had been diagnosed 2 years before with Parkinson and dementia. And he had been given all these medicines to help him with the dementia, but also they had massive side effects. And so what he was experiencing every evening was this thing called sundowning, which is literally as it sounds. When the sun goes down, anxiety and confusion and agitation come in. And so we gave him the CBD oil, and he started taking it, and it was amazing. The results were amazing. He wasn't anxious anymore. He was really relaxed, and his tremors, he had tremors on one side of his body, totally stopped. And so for us, we could see firsthand how amazing it was for him.
Yeah, the healing power of that oil. And so how was he taking the drops?
So he was taking an ingestible in drop form, sublingually, so under the tongue, which we don't have on our website currently, but we will be bringing it back in later on this year.
I mean, what powerful marketing, what powerful data to really see it firsthand in someone with someone you really care about and love, and see them benefiting. I mean, it's truly, truly healing.
Yes. Yeah. And also because he had trouble with his words and everything, it was great because you could see already the impact. 20 minutes later, you could always see visually for yourself how it was affecting him. So it was truly great.
So what were the products originally, and how have they evolved over time?
Yeah, so the products originally were, we had the oils, we had some bath salts, and we had some creams and balms, quite a small range, if you like. And then when the pandemic hit and we decided to carry on the business, I then started working for Healing Alternatives. And so we decided to expand our collections and rebrand the labels. We were having issues with the labels, and re-platform everything. So we decided to divide our ranges into different collections. So now we have face and a body collection. And so the face is mainly beauty products, and the body are beauty, but also like a first aid cabinet of natural remedies, also for the skin. And then the next collection we have is the bath collection. So we refined and expanded that. So we have a sleep collection in the bath collection, as well as ordinary bath salts. All of them have CBD as the cornerstone ingredient, and then we blend them with other essential oils. And then we also decided to expand well-being into the home. Interior design is one of my passions, and we wanted to expand into candles and diffusers and lovely smelling aromas, probably from my perfume days. That was the influence of that, as well as the well-being angle. And then finally, we decided to do a dedicated sleep collection, because we realize how important sleep is for our health as a pillar. I'm sure you can speak to that, Gret, in your line of work.
Yeah, definitely. And actually we're coming up, we're recording just around World Sleep Day, which is on Friday.
Yes.
And I mean, it's foundational.
Mhm.
When I was going through my burnout too, I was one of those people that always said, oh, I can, 5 hours of sleep. I can manage 5 hours of sleep. It's fine.
Mhm.
And then all of a sudden I started to realize like, I am really tired. Like, what is wrong? And now I actually prioritize sleep. Whereas before I used to push through. Now it's like a foundation for me. If I don't sleep well, then I do not show up at my best.
Mhm.
And I can attest to your sleep salts and the sleep range, because that is something my husband has a hard time sleeping, and he loves the bath salts and finds them absolutely amazing to help him go to sleep. And then the spray,
The pillow
as well.
spray. Yes.
Pillow spray.
Mhm.
Yeah, I wake up in the middle of the night. It's like
He's spraying things.
he's spraying. Can you talk about the essential oils? Because I know that, I mean, there are some natural essential oils, and then there's also just oils.
Yes.
Where do you get your oils from? Are they natural? Yeah, just a little bit about that and why it's important.
Yes, so our natural oils, essential oils, are sourced in the UK, and we blend them specifically to do with whatever the range is. So, for example, we use, lavender, which on its own is fantastic for relaxing you and helping you sleep. But when you blend it with the CBD, that is just a wonderful combination because it enhances the effect of the lavender. So we do more traditional essential oils, but then we also come across other things like, for example, one of our products is called the Ultimate Balm, which is a wonderful product for pain. And it's got 2,500 milligrams of CBD. And I'll explain more about what CBD is in a minute. But the Ultimate Balm is blended with peppermint, and the combination together are brilliant for pain management. So aching muscles, joints. So you've got the peppermint, which is cooling, and then you've got the CBD, which is great for inflammation and pain management.
Amazing. Okay. So I don't know if we skipped over any of the products, because then I diverted us another way.
Okay.
So is there anything else besides the sleep range that we just need to highlight?
Not for the time being. We will be coming out with some new things this year.
Watch this space, basically.
Watch this space. I will tell you more.
Yeah. Okay. It's CBD time, because I think everyone, at least I know I'm still slightly confused, and I'd love some explanation on CBD, so that it's clarified what CBD actually is, sort of amounts and the different levels. And then there's the CBD with the TCH or THC.
Yeah.
Always my foot in my mouth at some
No,
point.
that's okay. It's very easily done.
Yeah, just if you can give us sort of the 101 on CBD, would be amazing.
Sure. So everybody is born with an innate ability to heal themselves. And so our bodies have all these intricate systems which bring our body into balance or homeostasis. So one of these systems in our bodies, in the human body, is called the endocannabinoid system. So ECS, just to make it easier for me and everyone else.
ECS, okay.
ECS. So the ECS's job is to bring our nervous system, our mood, and our digestive system into balance and harmony. And also it does a similar job with immunity, pain management, skin health, and sleep. And so our body is naturally producing cannabinoids, which help the ECS to do its work. So it's pretty amazing, our bodies. And then at a certain level in life, we have endocannabinoid ECS deficiency. And that can occur for many reasons. So it could be anxiety, stress, difficulty sleeping, and that's how it manifests. But as you can imagine, if left unchecked, it can get into something more serious. So this is where CBD comes in. So CBD is a plant cannabinoid that mimics our own endocannabinoid system. Sorry, endocannabinoid, and can be used safely as a supplement to top up the levels and bring us into balance. So I can go into more detail, but I don't want to confuse anybody. And so what I thought, I made a PDF, CBD 101, which can be found on our Instagram in the link in the bio, and you can download it there. Or we have loads of blogs and information on our website, which I'll give you those details later.
That's perfect. And we'll
So
make
that's
sure
a really simple guide.
Yeah, and we'll make sure that we link it on the
you.
show notes so that people can have direct access.
Thank you.
Because it is really confusing. Okay, so the CBD mimics the ECS, but
Yes.
so at some point in our life, everyone has ECS deficiency?
Yes, because we're
Wow.
aging or we're experiencing stress, and our body is trying to rebalance and it's doing all the things, it's speaking to each other, but sometimes we need a little bit of help from the plant world.
So then I love the plant world, because I really do believe that, I mean, and our bodies, like we're so used to jumping to a doctor to get a prescription for something, that just rather than thinking, how can we actually go back to nature and just figure out what we can use so that we don't have to take nasty medicines and that sort of destroys our gut and our microbiome.
Absolutely.
So then I would assume CBD products would benefit anyone.
So
yes,
yes, I would say that it's not a miracle cure like everything, but you know, when used as a supplement, it's an amazing way of healing and regulating your body. I would say that it's probably, I would be careful if I was pregnant. I would probably consult a physician whilst, you know, if you want to use CBD. And I would also probably do a patch test with the creams and balms, just to see that your body reacts okay to it. But I think, yeah, pretty much anybody would benefit from.
And it is natural versus, I mean, you think about, you know, the creams and balms that we get in a store today, and a lot of them you read, even the expensive ones, especially the expensive ones, you read the label and it is a load of chemicals, and people should even be doing patch tests for those.
Absolutely.
Because you could have really sensitive skin and it might not react very well.
And everybody is different. So, you know, there's not one size fits all. And so that's why I think it's really important to test for yourself. And the other thing I wanted to say was that a little bit about CBD. You mentioned before the dosage and all that kind of, and we went ahead. And so for the time being, we don't have any ingestibles, but we will do later in the year. But, you know, I know that most people ask me and they're concerned, oh, will I get stoned if I have CBD? And the short answer is no, you won't. And so the reason being that, you know, hemp and marijuana are both part of this cannabis family. And so hemp is on one side, let's say, and marijuana is on the other side. And hemp doesn't have THC, and marijuana has more THC. So we use what's known as broad spectrum hemp, which has minus THC, doesn't have any THC at all in our products. And another thing is, I think when you're looking to have CBD, you need to make sure that you know the source of where it's coming from, be it from us or anyone else. And we get our CBD from a grower on the Swiss-German border, and it's all organic, and it's sent over to the UK, and we have it tested by a third-party lab to ensure that it's the best quality we can have, and there are no trace elements of THC or anything in there. So we publish those on our website, but I know that that's kind of like the criteria I would give to people if they're wanting to explore CBD.
Okay. And then you did also talk about the amount that's put in. So 2,500.
Yes. So that is probably our product with the most CBD in it, the Ultimate Balm. And then we have different grams in different products. And so I would say that you need to see, try lots of, try it out. Sorry, I'm just gone off piece now. The grams don't matter so much unless you are taking an ingestible. And then I would say start slow and try little amounts every day and see how it goes. But we will have on our website a little chart of what you should do in order to get the most out of it.
Okay. So very interesting about the ingestibles, and just thinking about stress and CBD. And we work with a lot of businesses, and a lot of leaders all the way down to entry-level employees are feeling much more stress, or they're just more communicative about it. Ultimately leading to burnout. I'd love to just hear your thoughts on CBD and stress and how it can be used.
So I would suggest that, CBD, as we know, as we discussed, CBD helps to improve your endocannabinoid system and reduce the stress and anxiety levels. I think that if you're working in any arena, having worked myself in a big corporate, as a freelancer, in a startup, in a family business, I really do think that the leaders, how they perform and how they are, filters down the whole way through a business. And I think having your own well-being as paramount will affect everyone else in whatever situation, business and family situation you're in. So I'm sure that you can speak more to that, because that's your area of expertise.
But thank you for that. That is exactly what we talk to our clients about. It really is. It starts from the top.
Yeah.
And what you as a leader, and to your point, it could be you're leading a family, you're the parent, like people can read how you're feeling and by your behavior. They don't necessarily listen to what you're saying, they actually watch what you're doing. So leaders that truly lead with well-being and talk about their own well-being, and maybe show their vulnerability when they are a little bit stressed, but I do this to help me manage my stress. That's when actually businesses can really start to integrate well-being. But I guess I'd love to just hear about, so if, say, there is someone listening that is feeling a lot of stress, what would you recommend? And they say, okay, CBD, it sounds like CBD might be able to help me manage my stress. It's not like over the top. What would you suggest they start off with in terms of your products?
So I think I would suggest getting a handle on their sleep. I do think that this is a core principle of what we do, but also a core principle for well-being. I just think that, if you did one thing for your health, and that was sleep, then your whole outlook could be completely different. And by that I mean, get yourself a little sleep routine. It wouldn't be the same for everyone, but try and find something that's enjoyable and practical for your life. So if you sleep better, this is our core mantra here, if you sleep better, you feel better. And I really believe that's true. And for sleep, it's more the regularity and the quality of sleep more than anything else. And so within our range, we have bath salts, we have a bath oil, we have a Sleep Easy pillow spray, which you mentioned. We have a sleep balm, which is in a little 50 ml pot, and you just put it on your temples. Smells divine of orange. And then we also have a sleep roll-on, which is also, with a peppermint smell. And so yes, try and incorporating that into your routine. Maybe give yourself half an hour every evening to sort of wind down and go to sleep. That's what I would recommend you start and see how that works out in terms of your health and well-being.
Yeah, I love that. Create a little sleep ritual using these amazing products. Such a good way to integrate. Yeah. Okay, so we talked a little bit about well-being. What does well-being mean for you, Nika?
So for me, well-being means feeling full of vitality and also leading a fully expressed life. That's what it means to me. And I think that I do that through various ways. I think for me, it's using my creative side. That's something really important to me. I love writing still after all these years. I love interior design. In fact, we're just starting on a renovation project, so I'm doing a mood board. So that's really exciting. And getting out in nature, that is the most important thing for me in terms of well-being. Walking, I walk most days. I'm lucky to live surrounded by lovely hills, and so a daily walking in the hills and hugging a few trees, that I find is essential.
It's so funny. I love the hugging of the trees. And my husband said that to me once a few years ago, and I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. I totally get it now. And I realize how connected to nature I am. And now we've moved and I can take our dog for a walk into the forest and it leads down to the beach. And I love being in the trees. And then all of a sudden I see the expanse of the water and it's like, what, just the juxtaposition is amazing. Hug a tree every once in a while, get my feet into the sand, connect the energy. Yeah. For someone that, you know, do you have some tips, some well-being tips for someone that might be listening like, I don't, you know, they just stuck inside all the time?
I think to go hop on about sleep, definitely. I think sleep is definitely the number one tip. I also think nourishing yourself in the way that you like to be nourished. And yeah, if you have any hobbies or creative expression, then that's another way I would go. I think that, you know, a little bit of joy goes a long way. So you almost have to plan it, because our lives are so busy that things can just get, you know, things can just overcome you, and you look at the end of your week and you haven't done anything joyful. So just you know, finding out what works for you and almost taking your health and well-being back into your own hands. I think that is something that's really important, and what these last few years have shown us, that is critical, I think.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. That you're so right. We actually do have some control over this, and we can actually make really small changes. And sometimes it's just a matter of like something, a little tweak, 5 minutes here, 5 minutes there, rather than I've got to do, you know, I have to have a full hour, I have to go away, or I have to go, you know, wait for something else to happen.
Absolutely.
Just thinking about healing alternatives, it's been a bit of a journey since you started. What do you want to accomplish in the next 3 years? Top 3 things.
So I would like to carry on creating more transformative products. We have a few things in the pipeline. I would like to share more knowledge and experiences with people to do with health and well-being. I would also love to expand internationally. I can't think of anything better than doing my work in the world and bringing my daughter along for the ride. And I also really hope that cannabis can become legal in the UK, because I think that so many more people could benefit from that side of the things. So I think in terms of sort of work things, those I would say are my 3 answers. In terms of personal accomplishments, I would like to walk the Camino. I would like to spend more time in Ireland and Spain with my family and friends. And I think I would like to travel. There's certain countries that I've been wanting to travel to for ages. So Japan, Bhutan, and the continent of South America.
The whole continent.
Just, you know, a few lofty ideals to.
Well, You know, and you can merge the work with the pleasure, because healing alternatives can go to all those places.
I would love to do that. Yeah.
Well, big aspirations. And I like that you've set your vision high, because I think the product deserves it, and you definitely could bring it there and make it happen.
Thank you.
Thank you for sharing, and thank you for bringing healing alternatives to the world. I've tried some of the products and they are absolutely beautiful and very, very healing and transformative. So thank you from our side. Having a husband that sleeps well is a good thing.
That's so great. Those sort of things are just, but they what make they'll, you know, hearing feedback from people, it just makes my day, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, I hope that you get to come over here to share some healing alternative with some people in Portugal.
I would love that.
And at some point I will come see you in the UK.
Please.
So thank you. Thank you so much. And
Thank you, Gret.
keep doing what you're doing. I can't wait to see what you're expanding into.
Thank you.